Okay, whenever Madam Mayor is ready.
Thank you. I am calling this meeting to order at 4:31 PM, Monday, February 14th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Kong,
Here.
Councilmember Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember Mohovi,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis.
Here.
Mayor Schwartz.
Here.
Thank you.
Public comment. Notice to the public. This time is set aside to receive public comment on matters not agendized for the City of Bishop budget workshop only. When recognized by the mayor, please state your name and address for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Under California law, the City Council is prohibited from generally discussing or taking action on items not included in the agenda. However, the City Council may briefly respond to comments or questions from members of the public. Therefore, the City Council will listen to all public comments, but will not generally discuss the matter or take action on it. Robin, do we have any public comment?
We do not have any public comments in our public comment email, and I do not see any raised hands. Jenny, can you confirm?
There are no raised hands.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the City of Bishop mid-year budget workshop. Finance. It's all you, Jenny.
Before Jenny starts, could I just add that I want to thank her for her work putting this together. She brought it to me only 2 weeks ago, and then all the department heads, and done a very thorough and thoughtful job. And I appreciate her getting me up to speed quickly too, as she did. So thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome. Good evening, Mayor Schwartz and City Council members. Today we are presenting the annual mid-year budget reports. Please note these numbers are as of February 7th, 2022. The 21-22 mid-year budget request is as follows. General fund, $325,836 increase in revenue, with a $1,259 increase in expenditures. Sewer fund, $109,922 increase in revenues, with $440,878 increase in expenditures. Gas tax, $173,406 increase in revenues, with a $241,148 increase in expenditures. Water fund, 0 increase in revenues, with $67,131 increase in expenditures. Sunrise fund, $14,392 increase in revenues, with a $12,200 increase in expenditures. COPS funds, oh, looks like I have a typo there. Oh, no, I don't. I'm sorry. $253 increase in revenues, with $278,000 increase in expenditures. So maybe I should just share. Would you guys just like me to share my screen so you can? Okay. Let me. Alrighty. Share screen. Okay, here we are. Alrighty. Okay, so the decrease to general fund revenues are as follows. Would you guys like me to go in detail or just review the summary?
I think detail would be nice. Does anyone have comment?
No? Okay, well, I'll just go through it. A decrease in general fund revenues are as follows. Interest on bank deposits, $10,000. Rental of real property, $16,000. Local response standby, $116,500. Miscellaneous, $35,000. Kind tuition, $35,837. Soccer, $940. Youth program, $800. Gymnastics, $3,000. Public pool swim, $3,000. Pool rentals, $7,500. City cost plan, $150,000. Caltrans grant, $14,275. SB2 housing and community, $56,000, LEAP grant $34,000, for a total of $483,273. Does anybody have any questions regarding the decrease to the general fund revenues?
Yeah, Jenny, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
So the Caltrans Sustainable Grant, the SB2, and the LEAP grant, those are all in planning, right?
Yes, they are.
And so, I mean, what is the reasoning behind those grant funding amounts going down?
So when I put together the original budget, I just put across the placeholder of the grant amount. I didn't take account the remaining balance. So we've already expended and received the full grant amount, a certain amount of the grant in fiscal year 2021. And this is the remainder that we're receiving and expending in 21-22.
Okay. And then what is the local response standby line?
So we did a change on some of our revenue line items to make it a little easier. So this is for Joe's response when he goes on a local goes on a wildfire, response. And so what happened was it was decreased on this line item and moved to another line item.
Okay.
It is just more clearly labeled.
Okay. And and is that the same type of thing with the city cost plan?
The city cost plan, yes, we used to always have it included in revenue because prior year examples, I thought was the correct placeholder for it. But Craig, who was assisting me with fiscal close, pointed out that it is not put in under revenue. Instead, it goes as an expense. So you will see that the administration line item will be increased.
I see. And this is effectively, we were considering it revenue because it was coming from the water and sewer funds into the general fund, and that's no longer the case. Okay.
Yes. Okay, are there any further questions? I see no. Okay. All right, increase to general fund revenue lines are as follows. I have to move you guys.
I don't think you need to read the numbers out one by one.
Okay.
Maybe just highlight some of them, the ones that are noteworthy.
Okay, well, how about we note sales tax? That's a big increase of 400,000. Our sales tax revenue is doing really well, and this is still a conservative revenue, but we definitely can increase it by 400,000. Strike team, I'm sorry, you'll notice strike team here. That is where that local response went to. So we were just labeling it to make it easier for me and to report to Joe. PD grants, we have this increase. It's for our school resource officer. This is where that funding is. And I don't see anything else significant. If you guys have any.
Highway 6 trash, that's the contract with Caltrans. Is that correct?
Yes. So we have an expenditure line, and it's under special projects, I think, or.
Yes.
And that, so it balances out. We're just being refunded.
Okay.
Okay. No other questions? All righty. So increase to general fund expenses are as follows. I'll go ahead and list them because city council, 67,000, finance, 23,000, insurance, 5,230, building grounds, 17,000, I'll round up, elections, $2, police department, 101,000, fire department, 127,000, after school, 7,375, pool 18,450, summer camp 275, and gymnastics club 12,500. Does anybody have any questions regarding those increases?
The fire department is because we hired the fire prevention officer, right?
The fire department is maybe, let me find my notes regarding it.
Correct. I believe so.
Well, actually, no, a majority of that increase was strike team, which we
Oh.
get reimbursed. Yeah, we already had the new employee projected in the original budget.
Okay.
And then also just some minor expenses that needed to be increased, like training, because there was an EMT refresher. And then there was a significant increase to some insurance and rates. So that's the main changes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? No? Okay. All right. Would you like to go over the decreases? We already mentioned about the administration. That was the cost sharing plan. And let's see, what else did I have in there?
Then the planning where the
Mhm.
unaccounting for the already expended grants.
And yeah, that was me. And then
And we're
commu-
just not doing kind this time, or?
no, well, let me get Dan on so he can or Robin, can you let Dan on so he can explain what happened there?
Yes, let me get Dan and Carrie.
Just quickly going back to that fire department, it actually is $117,000 in salaries is the biggest, is that increase right there.
Mhm.
Jenny, on that one. I thought it was.
So Stephen, to answer your question is just the way things that worked with COVID. For the KIND program, our KIND program is actually only a couple days a week. The normal budget for that was to have it as a normal program. We split those kids a couple days a week between our gymnastics club, so that's why there's a reduction.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so budget impacts to the general fund are, the general fund has 325,836 increase. Oh, I've already mentioned this in the beginning. You don't want me to repeat that, but I can say our total revenues for the city will now be $10,470,075, and total expenditures are $9,461,369. The city will add $1,008,706 to reserves. Okay. Would you guys
We
like
should
to
get some sidewalks.
So this is just the overview, and then there's more detail on the additional pages. Did you want me to skip to the general fund, or would you like to just have me go over the whole review and then?
You can go to the general fund.
Okay. Okay, this is just what we have. You guys need to actually there. So this is just, line items. It just shows this is our general fund revenue. I'm sorry if the negatives were causing some confusion as to how they show in the system, but the negatives here are positive because they're our revenue. And this just shows our adopted budget with our actual and the remaining balance we have as of February 7th, and the adjustments to increase or decrease. And this would be our final revised budget line item. Oh, and I apologize. In Parks and Rec, there is a increase to the one of the line items for summer camps. We will have to increase line item 500103852015. We would need to add $4,046 to that line item. And that is because normally our Playhouse 395 summer camp is in July, but we had to move it to June, so it will hit this fiscal year. So the overall budget, the expenses will be increased by that amount, the $4,046. Okay, and here is your city council. The increase to this budget line item is 67,000.
And that's for our AV equipment.
Yes, so the main increase is capital equipment. What we're doing is we're replacing the audio visual for the city council chambers. And that will be coming from our COVID funding.
Yep.
And then administration decreased by 150,000, and mainly the cost sharing plan. And then we had some additions, which were salary and minor benefits adjustments.
So this is the expenditure in administration is going down by 150,000 because we're now dropping 254,000 into the cost sharing plan.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
That was initially recorded as revenue.
Okay.
Okay, and then finance. We had to add additional expenses for part-time salaries, minor, pardon me, minor benefit issues, adjustments, and then meetings, travel and conference, professional technical supplies, special department supplies, and miscellaneous dues, or I'm sorry, IT. So that is being increased by 23,000.
Mhm.
And then the treasurer, there was no increase. We're right on budget. And then legal services, we're still on budget, so we didn't have to make any increases. Expense is being moved from another line item to here. It should have been charged here and budgeted here initially, and it wasn't. It was our air medical. So that is why we have to increase it by 5,229. And then we have building and grounds. There was some increases to insurance, other benefit changes. That was about it. And building operation. And sorry, I have to look at my note to see exactly what. Adding furnishings and restroom fixtures caused that increase. And then elections, the whole $2.36 under office supplies and postage. And then community promotions. This we decreased by 2,000 because we didn't award the full 47,000. For community support.
Is the remaining budget on there just because people haven't submitted their receipts?
This was probably, no, they're being paid out. I was waiting on some, actually, that's probably, oh, the remaining amount, the 19,000. Yeah, that's because I don't have all the paperwork. I think I'm waiting on 2 to submit their insurance paperwork.
Okay.
And then, so that decreases by 2,000. And then police department. We have a decrease from salaries that was moved to capital improvement. And then we have an increase in overtime wages. And then
And so that overtime wage, it's a pretty large increase. And do we really think, like, am I expected to believe that if we've already spent 220,000 that we're only going to have 20,000 over the next 6 months? What's going on here?
Here, so we've already expended 130,000, and so currently we have almost 20,000, and we have 93,000 is the increase.
I see.
Yeah.
So we're expecting another 115,000 through the end of the year.
And that's just an average. You know, none of us can predict what's actually going to happen, but that's just based on what we've actually expended. I mean, I know things are winding down with hopefully with COVID and everything. So
And am I right that I guess this is a question for the chief, but I'm working on the assumption that when those 2 new officers get up to snuff and can't and can go by themselves and don't need to be with another officer, that those numbers will go down.
Robin, can you let Rich in?
Maybe Destin can just answer. Destin?
Yeah, that would be absolutely correct. Those overtime, as soon as those 2 come off of training, and then the third one actually gets done with the academy, we should be able to control those overtime costs considerably. Probably cut that. I would hope Rich could answer better, but I would say they're less than half in the overtime budget, and I would hope less than that even.
Just to add, Rich, if Rich would like to make further comment.
Did you hear the question, Rich?
I did, and just to let council know where we've really been hit with the overtime, and we've had discussions on this ad nauseum. We've been down 5-6 positions since the day I've got here. So Rochelle Gosvander is expected to come off training within the next 10 to 12 days. Carla's a few weeks behind, and then keep in mind we've had both Carla and now Cody in the academy. And one of the things when they're in the police academy, we cannot control overtime at that point because it's all centered around the academy. So we've taken some pretty big hits there. Some of the discussions we had is just going to be painful until we can get them off of training, and then we still have 2 to 3 positions to fill after that. But our goal is to hope we can offset some of it as we get closer to the budget with the salary savings that we have, because we're not expending a lot in the salaries, which you see that we put $60,000 over to capital projects. That was just kind of a rainy day fund, so we could have some money set aside in case we needed to move it back into some of those other accounts to average it out.
Thanks for that, Rich. I forgot about the overtime from the academy.
Yeah, we got hit pretty good there, and it's just something we can't control.
Okay.
Hey, Rich, how much of that was, I know that we had some COVID outages, officers who had to be out and had to be covered. Is that reimbursable through COVID funding?
That'd be a question for Jenny. I don't know.
Yes, it would.
Correct?
Mhm.
Okay, then we're meeting next week on some other budgetary issues, Jim. At that time, we'll do an assessment of that, maybe go back and see where we can recoup some of those funds also.
Okay.
I'll make a note of that. Thank you, sir.
Rich, since the city is paying for the academy, and I'm assuming the overtime is because they are studying and in trainings more than 8 hours a day?
Not so much necessarily studying and trainings, but they do they do night trainings, night shoots. They do some Saturday, Sunday stuff, in addition to the 8 to 5, Monday through Friday type things that they do. There's just some inherent overtime just built into it that we can't get around.
So there's no chance that we can just pay 8 hours a day, 7
No.
days a week? Since we're
No.
already paying for the academy?
Well, you'll still be in an overtime situation because once they go over
That's
40, we have to do
56,
time and a half.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, kind of per our conversation, I'm chopping everywhere we can. We just knew with the amount of staffing we were down this year was going to be a little bit rough to get through, but we should start balancing out as we get a little bit into spring and closer to summer.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, these staffing issues are creating other liabilities too that we're going to need to deal with. The officers are not being able to use any of their holiday time or vacation time. We're having to deal with over the limits on caps. Hopefully, we're going to deal with some of that in negotiations, but getting staffed up is going to be important to controlling a lot of our costs over there.
If I can add one thing, Destin, with council, before you guys kick me off and bring me back here in a little bit, I do want to say that our POA, their current board, is very active in working with both Destin and I for the best interest, not only of the employees, but also the city as a whole. So that's good to let council know as well, because I know things have been quite different in the past, but from our first meeting with them and my subsequent meetings, I have nothing but positive outlook on our dealing with the POA moving forward.
Righty, I'll go ahead and go forward. So the total increase to PD would be $101,908.80. Okay, and now we are moving to fire department. Most of the increases are part-time salaries, which is where our strike team is paid from. And then we have Medicare tax, but it's important to note that we do get reimbursed for this expense. Other increases have been training and professional technical services, which I think I already went over. And the total increase is $127,406. Then we are moving to building.
Can I ask a question, Jenny? When we
Of
get
course.
reimbursed for the strike team,
Yeah.
that goes into next year's budget? Is that where we see the?
No, it's reimbursing expenses. So strike team, we should get paid in the same fiscal year. So it's a line item under revenue, which is called strike team, and it's in the same fiscal year. Did that answer the question?
We don't have it in there this year,
Yeah, we have some.
but we just don't have as much as we projected.
No, we have 100 and our current line item for that is 134,000.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to building. There are no changes on this one. And then street maintenance, you'll see a lot of decreases, and that is because we are moving salaries over to gas tax funding to cover some street maintenance workers.
Answers my question.
And then waste fees are increased because of the Highway 6 trash, which of course you saw on the revenue line where we get reimbursed for that.
Mhm.
And then we have capital equipment and capital equipment replacement increases. And sorry, I have to get to I moved up to revenue, so I have to get back down to vehicle operation was increased because of a street sweeping repair. The capital equipment is for blinking speed radar signs. And then capital equipment replacement is for a new truck and garage door replacements. And the total decrease because of all the salary being moved is $85,705. In Parks and Rec, a decrease of $100. And then we have planning, and this is where you're going to see the changes in the grants to reflect, the accurate balances of those grants. And after school program, increase of $7,375. And that was mainly some salary increases in heat, light, and power. And then the decrease of $37,400, which was salaries because it became a part-time program. And then we have pool, which has an increase of $18,450, and I think that was mainly due to pool covers. And replace a electrical panel. And there's an increase to chemicals for the pool. Those expenses have gone up. Pardon me. And then summer camp. This is where I noted that we're going to have that expense of increase of $4,046. So the total amount for that will be $4,321.
Jenny, could you please go back to the pool?
To the pool, yes. Oops, sorry. It's on the...
Thank you.
Cool.
You just mentioned that the capital equipment is replacing the swimming pool covers.
Yes.
Isn't that on a separate item for tonight's agenda? Or is that other pool covers?
No, it's for these pool covers, but they are putting it in the mid-year budget for you to approve. And they also have to bring it forward to you to approve the purchase.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So like I said, the increase of $275 will actually be $4,321 on this line item. And then we have a new line item, which is gymnastics club, and that is a 2-day-a-week after school care program. And it's coincides with the KIND program. And so we are asking for a whole new budget for this, for salaries and some special supplies. And it looks like I should have adjusted a few tax lines. So the increase is $12,500. And that is it with the general fund. Is there any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. Oh, Sorry, I don't know. I just changed screens. Here, let me stop sharing for a minute while I try and find my file. I apologize for this. This is my husband's computer, and I thought I had it all figured out, but I guess I don't. Okay. All right, let me share my screen again. There. Okay, so increases to the sewer revenue are as follows: 109,922, and increases to sewer expenses are as follows: $423,855. If you don't mind, if I can just go through finish going through the staff report and then go through the detail, would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay. Budget impacts to the sewer fund. After mid-year budget, the sewer fund will have a total revenue of $1,321,872 and a total expenditure of $2,346,489. A total of $1,024,617 of the fund balance will have to cover the expenses. Increases to the gas tax revenue are $173,405. Increases to the gas tax expenses are as follows: $241,148. Budget impacts to the gas tax fund. After mid-year budget, the gas tax fund will have a total revenue of $173,406 and a total expenditure of $241,148. A total of $67,742 of the fund balance will have to cover the expenses. Increases to water revenue are as follows: 0. Increases to water expenses are as follows: $67,131. Budget impacts to the water fund. After mid-year budget, the water fund will have a total revenue of $973,900 and a total expenditure of $1,219,905. A total of $246,005 of the fund balance will have to cover expenses.
So Jenny, since those three are so related to each other,
Mhm.
can
Would you
we
like-
discuss them real quick?
Certainly. Excuse me while I scroll down.
So it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the increase to the sewer revenue is essentially coming from our partnership with the Eastern Sierra Community Services District. And the increase to the expenses is the trunk line project. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Yes, that would be correct. That 109,000 is the district's portion of that project that they've agreed to pay.
And we have been saving in the sewer fund for quite a while. So even though we're dipping into the reserves there, we should still be fine to cover it, right?
Correct.
Correct. I think it'll leave us approximately about 900,000 in reserves after the project.
Okay. And then with regards to the water fund, what are the extra water expenses?
The CCP, I believe, the cost sharing.
Yes, that
Oh.
wasn't
Cost.
reflected accurately.
Mhm.
Sorry, my son has tutoring and he's not on it. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems to be an ever-moving number, this cost-sharing plan over the last 4 years. Different city administrators have done it differently. And so Jenny has had, that's why we're making these adjustments, is after the auditor looked at it and found discrepancies within it. So part of our task is, once we're done with this, is to actually write down and memorialize exactly what's in that cost sharing plan, so that we're not doing this every year, bouncing or trying to remember, oh no, this one or that one. So hopefully that you should not ever see that line again after this year.
I see. And the gas tax fund, can you just remind me where that comes from? Because I see we have an increase in revenue of 173,000. Is that it just comes from the state and we don't necessarily know ahead of time how much it's going to be?
No, we could have an estimate. That was my fault. I should have included that in the adopted budget.
So what happens is, to be more clear on that, is, remember, there's HUDA, the Highway Users Tax Account, is one form of gas tax, and then the RMRA, the Road Rehabilitation Act. So the second, the RMRA, has to fund a project like the sidewalks next to Field 1 that we're going to do. So we've accounted for it. The HUDA is just general road maintenance. And so for many years, that money was just used for the salaries, or as much as salaries as we could, that went to street maintenance. Over the last couple of years, Jenny has been kind of holding on to it to make sure we're all right where we are. And now we're getting a balance and a time that we need to use it before they ask for it back.
I see.
Pardon me.
And our expenditures are going up there in the gas tax fund because we're now paying for some of the street maintenance salary out of it, right? And even though, but the fund itself is healthy enough to cover the $70,000 difference, right?
Yes.
I believe, Jenny, am I wrong? Is there like $270,000 in that HUDA fund now?
Okay.
Yes, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me right now, but
I believe it's 280,751.
yes,
There you go.
Okay. Any further questions regarding gas tax? No. Okay. And water fund, I apologize, I did get distracted by my phone and trying to get my son
No worries.
started on his tutoring. Did we cover water?
I think
Did you
so,
guys-
sufficiently, as far as I'm concerned, yeah.
Okay. Alrighty, then I will go back
So-
up to the top. Sorry, he has a funky mouse and it's hard. Alrighty. Okay, so we went over, okay, now we're on to Sunrise. Increase to Sunrise revenues are as follows. Sunrise revenue, 14,392. Increases to Sunrise expenses are as follows. 12,200. Budget impacts to the Sunrise Fund. After mid-year budget, the Sunrise Fund will have, have a total revenue of $136,440 and a total expenditure of $160,252. A total of $23,812 of the fund balance will have to cover expenses. And then increases to COPS revenue are as follows. COPS revenue, $252.94, and COPS expenses, $278,000. After mid-year budget, the COPS fund will have a total revenue of $100,253 and a total expenditure of $433,800, a total of $333,547 of the fund balance will have to cover expenses.
And the COPS fund has that.
Yes, it's a very healthy fund. And it needs to be expended down.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Let me get down so we can look at the detail here. Okay. All right, so this shows the Sunrise increases and to the revenue, and then it shows the increases to the expenditures. And let me see what those were. They were, I actually don't have a good note as to what the professional technical services, I think it was a driveway, I believe. Some driveways for Sunrise Mobile Home Park.
Yeah, it's concrete work around that trailer that's being removed, and then the driveway need to be replaced. And some small minor sidewalk, minor concrete work.
And then COPS funding. It shows the revenue and the expenses. The expenses are mainly, I did not take a good note. Cars and training.
Oh, I see. So this is upfront increase because we now are contracting that out with Enterprise, and over time is when we'll start seeing the savings materialize out of that, right?
Correct. And that's it.
Oh, and then there's the line item for training to send people in. Okay.
Yes. So I'm sorry, I just closed the page again. So we are asking City Council to pass the recommended budget unless they have any questions or concerns with the increase of the $4,321 to the general fund revenue. I mean, expenses.
I believe, council, that was the only change that we had, that other than what Jenny had listed on here. Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I think this is pretty thorough. Thanks for covering everything. I would definitely like at some point for us as a council to decide on what kind of reserves we want to keep in each of the funds and how to spend some of that, because it's great that the sales tax revenue is higher than anticipated, but we have to make sure that we follow through on our promise to use that in the community.
That's what we hope to bring to you at strategic planning in 2 weeks, is set those reserve limits and stuff. We're excited to do that.
Awesome. Good job, Jenny.
And Jenny, I just wanted to say thank you so much. I really appreciate how clear these charts are for someone who is numerically challenged. How's that? I really appreciate that I can go through it and actually get it shoved in there and understand. So thanks so much.
No problem. So we're okay with approving it as is with that additional increase to the general fund expense?
I think we approve it later in the meeting, right?
Correct.
Yeah, but I just want to make sure there's no additional
And
questions?
no additional modifications?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it looks good. Thanks, Jenny.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, guys.
So then do we just take a break until 6? Is that?
Yes. Yeah, we just recess until the 6 o'clock start of the regular meeting.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Well, then we'll see you all then at 6 p.m.
See you in a little bit.
Bye.
Thank you.
Robin, are you going to send me the list to let people in?
I did. I sent an email and this is being recorded, just so you know. on
Oh.
Zoom. Yeah, we can go offline.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
I almost said that's it too to Jim. And then I was like, that's my normal speed.
That's what I thought. I was gonna tell,
I
are
was
you
like,
driving?
70.
I was gonna ask him if he was driving through Big Pine or something. He slowed down.
Yeah, 'cause that's like, I'm like cruise control at like 79.
You guys, this is being recorded on Zoom Live, just so you know. I can't stop the YouTube recording, unfortunately. We have everything else paused. On board, Jose, 1, 2, 3. So Jim will be late and Stephen. Shall I go ahead and start the mics and the recordings? Should I wait till Stephen shows up?
Justin said wait.
Destin, what? I'm sorry.
He shook his head no.
Okay, I'll wait. I have 6 o'clock. He's running late.
Ready? Should we do it?
If you'd
Start.
like to, like, give me a second. Give me a second to go ahead and load everything up. So
Okay.
I'm going to turn on the mics and we're starting Granicus recording now, and I will start the Zoom meeting again. And YouTube is live. It doesn't pause. So we're ready when Mayor is ready.
Okay, I am resuming our meeting. We're back in open session at 6:01 p.m. Monday, February 14th, 2022. We will have our invocation by Rick Klug of the Calvary Baptist Church. And then the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Karen Kong. Hi, Rick.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Schwartz. Join me with prayer, if you would. Father, we do thank you, God, that you love us and that you're watching over us. And we just pray for these civil servants, these servants of our valley. We pray that you would bless them and keep them and give them wisdom and insight and ability to lead and make decisions while also caring for the people. I thank you for them and all the work, especially the hard financial work that they've been doing today. We just ask you to protect us and lead us. We pray for peace in our valley and ability to discuss and get along and work things out even when we disagree. And Lord, we pray for snow. We pray for you to bless our valley and our mountains even more. And again, we thank you because your hand is always on us and you love us. We pray this together in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Khan,
Here.
Councilmember Garcia,
Here.
Councilmember Moholy,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis is absent at this time, and Mayor Schwartz.
Here.
Thank you.
Public comment. Notice to the public. This time is set aside to receive public comment on matters not calendared on the agenda. When recognized by the mayor, please state your name and address for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Under California law, the city council is prohibited from generally discussing or taking action on items not included in the agenda. However, the city council may briefly respond to comments or questions from members of the public. Therefore, the city council will listen to all public comment, but will not generally discuss the matter or take action on it. Do we have any public comment?
I don't see any public comments in our public comment email, and I do not see any raised hands. Jenny, can you confirm?
There are no raised hands.
Thank you.
Moving on to department reports, updates on department activities. Fire Chief Joe Dell.
Sorry, I just let him in.
Madam Clerk, if you can promote me, even though I'm under the name Dustin Deshawn, you can promote me to a panelist I can assist with this process as well.
Well, that was quick. You guys got to me awful fast tonight. Not much to report on the fire department side. We're working on our strategic plan with Destin and getting ready for you guys in a couple weeks. And the biggest thing that we did over the weekend was aircraft rescue firefighter training. The county paid for and we hosted a class. There was 40 members there. We did an 8-hour class on how to deal with emergencies at the new airport. Pretty exciting information. One of the heart drop moments for me is now that we're an index airport, if one of those bigger planes has an issue and we're the closest airport, they're landing on us. So we'll have to be ready. So unless you got any questions, I'm going to move on for tonight.
Thank you. Police Chief Richard Standridge.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Not much going on in my world either, so I'll be brief and go ahead and move on. The one thing I would like to make Council aware of is that we're doing interviews for police trainee this week. And as of right now, we have 6 applicants, so I'm kind of excited to see where that goes. Hopefully add some new quality members to the department. Other than that, I don't have anything. Next meeting, you'll have a detailed monthly report, and I think you'll find it to your liking. And if there's nothing else, I'll log off unless Council has questions for me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to Community Services Manager Dan McElroy.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. How do I sound tonight? Just a quick update in our programs. We continue to provide our after-school program, gymnastics club, and our KIND program. We've also started hosting our Kids Nights Outs again. Our capacity for those are 30 kids. They're going over well, and we're supplying those every 2 weeks. Wayland has begun to offer up softball registration for the summer for softball league. And we've begun our summer planning for summer camps and everything that's going to go on this summer, as well as hiring staff for the city park pool. In the parks, tomorrow we'll be picking up the snowflakes off of Main Street. We continue to work with high school baseball and softball. Also, AYSO Spring League and Little League is starting here pretty soon. So that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions or comments.
When will you guys publish the dates for summer camps?
That will be here in the next couple of weeks. We're still working on a few. As you guys saw in the budget, we've had some different scheduling issues. So we're working out the kinks right now. Typically, we'll put out that flyer, the informational flyer for you as well. So look forward to that coming out soon. So.
Great. Any other questions from anyone? Associate Planner, Economic Development Coordinator, Elaine Kabala.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. I think I might have provided an update on this at our previous meeting, but did want to let you know we submitted a Clean California grant for wayfinding, planning, and implementation and gateway signage throughout the city. I received the administrative draft of the environmental impact report for the specific plan. So that process continues to move forward. And then I'll be returning to your council in the next meeting with a workshop on proposed signage and design guidelines based on the recommendations of the specific plan. Happy to take any questions you have. Thank you.
Thanks, Elaine. Any questions? Nope. Okay. Public Works Director and Interim City Administrator, Dustin DeShawn.
Good evening, Mayor Schwartz and council members. So first off, with Public Works, the big project is the trunk line. I encourage you and all of you, if you get time this week, to go down to the canal there at the end of Clark Street. They're actually dewatering the canal today for a section where the work will happen. They got it's really interesting. They have a big dam built, two 24-inch pipes, putting the entire canal through it. DWP has worked with us to lower the flows down to nearly 10 cubic feet a second, which is really a light amount. It's two 24-inch pipes that are not even 1/4 full is all the flow in the canal right now. So tomorrow we'll tighten up that dam, completely dewater, and working with the biologists to get all the fish and the critters out of the canal and move them downstream and upstream so we don't have any loss of fish. And then secondly, kind of an important meeting it's sewer but BAWA related. We're going to be meeting with NEPA, cultural environmentalist person, to look at cultural, just the overall outlay of the sprinkler area, what we're looking at in cultural resources that could be down there, Native American and such like that. It's a real pivot point in this project to see how we can move it forward or not with the resources that are around there. So moving on to city administrator, exciting news. Everybody has probably heard the masking mandate will be removed on Wednesday morning at 12 a.m. I guess when we all get up on Wednesday morning. So that'll, again, if you're vaccinated, you can be indoors, no mask. We're kind of waiting out on Cal OSHA to find out what maybe they may still require on indoor for employees, since they govern all of our workplaces. But more news, and I'll work closely. The county is trying to update theirs tomorrow at the last minute with all that. We've worked very well with them in the past, and we'll continue to try to work and keep the same kind of guidelines for the workplace for both of us. We, as Joe mentioned earlier, I was able to lock up all the staff that needed to be involved in planning, pre-planning for strategic planning. Went very well today. So I feel like we're about 80% done and be ready to present this to you on that first week of March. I've heard from a couple of you back, waiting to hear from everybody so we can plan that. It's probably an afternoon during the middle of the week on that week right now. So I think a big question on everybody's mind is, when are we going to get back in the council chambers? We know that all the regulations that we'll have to incorporate Zoom as part of our live meetings as well. We have to be able to put publicly that people will still be able to enjoy our meetings by Zoom if they don't want to come by public or in public. We're working with a company for those upgrades. Unfortunately, everybody in the country that follows the Brown Act is doing the same thing at one time. We're looking at late May before they'll have the equipment in their hands and can start the upgrades. So it's right now scheduled for the last week of May for all those upgrades to be made and then hopefully tested. And if it's still working out with all the COVID restrictions and we can go back to live, we'd look at the first meeting in June potentially. Of course, that's up to you five to make that decision. And lastly, I'd like to bring up a potential change that we've talked amongst staff, and I want to present some options to council is how to take department head reports going forward. Yeah, right now, each department head presents you with some report, sometimes long, sometimes short. We would all like to present you with a written report monthly. And then we had two options. We just have department heads without listing each individual member. And then if the fire chief has something significant to bring to you at a meeting, they would present it. They would also be there to answer any questions that might come from the reports. But we try to shorten that up as maybe especially on the nights that we have the chamber and we have the fairgrounds and we're asking each of them to try to keep it down to less than 3 minutes. And we feel like we as this department heads would like to do the same for you as well. But that again is just kind of informally polling tonight if council would like to entertain that idea or not.
I like it.
Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, I like it. I wouldn't mind having the written component of a report too, to be able to dissect a little bit too.
Yeah, so that each department will present you a report like we decided the last meeting of each month, a full report of everything in that. And then at the following meeting or that meeting that night, it would be submitted as that item, not on the consent calendar, but actually as the item is each written report from each department.
Destin, can we make a template which all the departments use the same template so that one report is not a PowerPoint presentation, another report is a Word document, but that we all get the standardized report for each department?
I don't see why we couldn't do that.
No, yes, if we can, that'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. So you're all looking at kind of the same document from each department.
Thank you.
I like the idea of a written report. That seems very helpful.
And again, I want to make sure I'm clear is that we would submit that in lieu of each of us presenting something to you and only presenting to you at the council meeting if we have something significant, or to add to that report or something changes from when we did that report that came up in the last week or whatever.
I guess I'm for it. I would like to see it sort of tried out on a temporary basis, just to make sure that we're still keeping up, knowing everything that we need to know.
We could do that.
I sometimes think that it's hard to throw everything on a piece of paper and make sure we're saying everything that needs to be done. So I'd love to try it temporarily at least.
Okay. I think that's enough direction. We'll try it at we can have, I believe, unless Joe, I need to make sure with him, but the 28th meeting, we should be able to have reports for you. Thank you. Unless you have any questions of me, that's all I have for now.
Any questions for Destin? Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to the consent calendar. Notice to the public, all matters under the consent calendar are considered routine by the city and will be acted on by one motion. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as written.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, just public comment if there are.
So thank you so much. Public comment.
There are no public comments in our public comment email, and I do not see any raised hands. Jenny, can you confirm?
There are no raised hands.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, call for a vote.
Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Mahovey,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Moving on to public hearing. We have 2 public hearings tonight. Our first public hearing is proposed resolution amending and restating certain fees and charges for city services. So I would like to open the public hearing. Do we have any comments from the public?
I think at this point, Madam Mayor, it'd be appropriate to go to staff presentation.
Let's do a staff presentation, sorry. I have my son practicing fiddle, so I'm a little bit
Fiddled?
distracted. All right, thank you.
Okay. Would you like me to go ahead and do this, Justin?
Yes, please, Robin, if you would.
All right. So we have before you the current fees and charges that are submitted by each department, and hopefully you've had a chance to review them. Basically, we have just a couple of departments that submitted, and that was through our community services department with some changes to the pool fees. And sorry. Tennis lights, and that went up from $4 per hour for tokens to $5 per hour on the time clock, since there is no, they aren't taking tokens anymore. And then they also have an increase in the swim class fees of $64 versus $60 in the past for those up to 8 sessions and some lessons. You also may have seen the report from the fire department on the changes to their, looks like their basic life support EMS standby per hour. They've broken that down for 2 personnel with support vehicle of $60 and 3 personnel with ambulance and support vehicle of $100. We updated PS 29, that item from engine response to fire apparatus suppression or rescue response for non-resident out of district responses per hour. Same fee, it's just renaming it. And we also have the state mandated and local fire prevention inspection fees that looks like we're changed down from $975 to $775 and from $725 to $525 for the hospital and school respectively. So outside of that, we did have a change that happened per law and the administrative fees for, let me see. The administrative fine for the first offense of the city municipal code shall be up to $100, up to $200 for the second offense within the same year, and up to $500 for each additional offense within the same year. And under building and safety, we have violations of building and safety codes may be subject to fines up to $200 for the first offense, up to $500 for the second offense within the same year, and up to $1,000 for each additional offense within the same year. We've updated that fee as well since it was adopted in 2019. Have any other questions from council?
I have a couple of questions. They're more for Chief Dell and for Destin, I think, than for you, Robin.
Okay. We'll promote Joe, please.
Okay, I'll start with Destin. So Destin, I guess my question is, I don't really have any philosophical problems with the idea of raising the administrative fines. I'm just back to my harping on the idea of who is it that how are we actually getting these administrative fines? Because it's one thing to raise them, but then if nobody's nobody's doing anything, then it sort of seems like just busy work for busy work's sake.
Correct. I believe, I agree with you. I mean, the only time that we've actually, that I know of so far that we've applied these fees was to the empty lot next to Vaughn's down there. And unfortunately, they cleaned it up instead of us having to go this route. But yeah, yes, you're right. We don't have a code enforcement officer. We don't have that person out there to do it. Now, I think that we have a very good relationship that's working in the building with having a building inspector. I know the county has a code enforcement officer, but that's at this point, I don't know that that one person has adequate time to contract with the city as well. So you're exactly right, is having these fines, but no way to apply them, or nobody out, I don't want to say looking for them, but actually, going out there and being able to do this. The public works, I had as a public works director, when we did the work with the empty lot next to Vaughn's, I had to draft up the fine and do all that. Of course, Dean approved it, but you're right. It's maybe, in planning, I'm not even sure if that's the right place, and if we were to ever move to a full-time planner.
I guess maybe I would like to figure out some time we can talk about it.
Agreed.
Thanks. And my second question was for Joe. Joe, I don't think I've ever seen a cost or something go down quite like you did for the inspection fees of the hospital and stuff. A reason behind it?
Yeah, we looked at what we were doing and how long it was taking us to do, and the quality of work that Megan's doing. We were able to bring down the costs because it won't take her as long as we thought we were going to.
Terrific. I know the community appreciates the idea that we're adjusting things, not just up, but also down. So thanks.
Karen, thank you for asking that. I didn't want it to.
So do we have anyone from the public or no?
I do not see any public comments on our email, and I do not see any raised hands.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Call for a vote?
Councilmember Khan,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Moholy,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, moving on.
And I don't have any more comments, so.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can move on to our item B, a public hearing and the first reading introduction of a proposed ordinance updating Chapter 3.24 Purchasing System of the Bishop Municipal Code and a proposed resolution adopting a purchasing policy. So Finance, do you want to
Yes.
give us an update?
Yes, good evening, Mayor Schwartz and City Council members. The City of Bishop has an outdated purchasing ordinance that was adopted in 1985. The council directed staff to prepare an update to the purchasing ordinance and draft purchasing policies to implement the updated ordinance. Because the purchasing policies implement the provisions of the purchasing ordinance, staff recommends adopting the ordinance first and the resolution second. If both items are approved, staff will begin complying with the purchase policies on the effective date of the ordinance. Staff routinely encounters efficiencies when purchasing products and services under the city's current purchasing ordinance contained in Chapter 3.24 of the Bishop Municipal Code. Specifically, the ordinance requires bidding on certain purchases when bidding is not required by state law and sets a comparatively low purchasing limit for staff approval. Under the city's current purchasing rules, a purchase of 500 or more requires a purchase order. Purchases over 1,500 require 3 quotes, and a purchase over 4,000 requires city council approval. These thresholds require significant additional paperwork from the city staff and decreases their productivity. State law does not require multiple quotes for the purchase of supplies or services, and most city administrators have authority to spend around 25,000 to 50,000 without city council approval. The purchase ordinance would not require a purchase order for purchases under $2,500, and department heads may approve purchases of this amount, up to this amount, I apologize. Purchases valued at 2,500 to 15,000 would require an open market contract procedure that includes a purchase order, 3 quotes, and approval by the director of finance. Purchases between 15,000 and 25,000 would require the same open market procedure and approval by the city administrator. Purchases over 25,000 would require a formal bid process and approval by city council. Any purchases that are unbudgeted would have to be approved by city council under proposed purchasing policy. The proposed ordinance provides exemptions from these rules for emergency expenditures when there is only one vendor, for purchases that are part of a corporate purchasing program, and other situations that are commonly found in most city purchasing ordinances. The proposed purchasing policies implement these provisions in sufficient detail to staff, so staff can consult a comprehensive list of procedures to efficiently comply with the provisions of the ordinance. The proposed purchasing credit card policy ordinance is being adopted separately because it is sufficiently detailed as to merit its own policy and can easily be updated in the future as needed. There's no additional budget impacts. City Attorney Pucci has reviewed these items and finds that the recommended action complies with the law. The recommendation is for council to hold a public hearing to hear and consider public input on the proposed ordinance updating chapter 3.24 purchasing system of the Bishop Municipal Code. Approve the first reading introduction of the proposed ordinance updating chapter 3.24 purchasing system and the Bishop Municipal Code by title only. Approve the proposed resolution adopting a purchasing policy by title only to be implemented by staff commencing on the effective date of the ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Jenny.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm going to open the public hearing. Does anyone have any comments? And Destin, you worked with all the department heads and came up with a number that seemed efficient, given our budget and kind of the direction we provided you last time.
Correct. All the department heads agreed that 25,000 was plenty to be the high limit on that. You know, that's basically borderline on buying a vehicle or something after that point. You know, Public Works is probably one of the more costly ones when we have pumps and motors and things like that that go out. And unless it's just pure emergency, which we have other means of purchasing, then those would all be budgeted and approved by council prior to even, you know, without this policy, they still are approved by council. I think it's important to note that definitely the council would be, I think, made aware of any of these larger purchases, you know, separately through, you know, some type of report in the consent calendar or something if we make a large purchase like that. So the council, we still want to be transparent and follow the process. I have a lot of confidence in our department heads that they run their departments as you know, like they do their own household. They're going to go out and still go look for the right bid and ask for quotes and do things properly. So I don't think this is eliminating. This isn't eliminating or making it easier because we just can go buy from anybody we want. But I think it's going to everybody spends a lot of time trying to put together quotes for things that cost, you know, in that $500 to $1,500 range. And nowadays that's just, it doesn't make any sense. And almost nothing costs in that range that we need to buy anymore, you know, short of shovels and things like that. But yes, the staff, all the department heads are very comfortable with these numbers.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
Are we still in the public hearing? Do we need to close the public hearing first?
I was going to see if there was public comment.
Oh, okay.
Is there any public comment?
There are no public comments in our public comment email, and I do not see any raised hands. Jenny, can you confirm?
There are no raised hands.
Thank you.
And I guess I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second that.
Jose Knapp.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second. I don't know who the second was, maybe.
Jose Garcia.
Right, okay. Let's call for a vote.
Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Mahoney,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay,
Thank
so
you, Kim.
now we will approve the first reading of the proposed ordinance updating chapter 3.24 of the Bishop Municipal Code by title only. Is that right? I get confused by these things.
That's correct. If council has anything to add.
I mean, the only thing I have to add is that I think we touched on it. I'm glad to hear these numbers will actually improve any sort of inefficiencies. And it would be great if we could actually have a report on what are some of the expenditures that are actually being, that are making use of this, this new policy that we wouldn't otherwise be privy to as part of an update.
Maybe that can be part of that monthly report.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah, Destin, thank you. I think you took our direction well at the last meeting. This encompasses everything that we were looking for. It's pretty concise. And like you said, I think it'll speed up the processes for what have now become kind of just typical cost. And because, yeah, being in the business too, I mean, it's not hard to spend this money rather quickly on 2 items. So I think good job. And I think it still gives us it gives you guys some latitude as department heads, but it also gives us some control. And like you said, transparency. So well done. Like it.
Yeah, and again, that number, I would like to just add that number of 25,000. If it's left to, if I'm as an acting city or interim city administrator, if that item is not in our budget, then it's, we're not approving it.
Unless it's needed as part of an emergency.
Yes, there you go. If it's an emergency.
Asterisk.
The pool slide breaks midsummer. Okay.
That'd be an emergency.
Madam Mayor, procedurally, if you'd like to move the matter forward, it would be calling on the city clerk to read the matter by title only and then.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of the proposed ordinance updating chapter 3.24 of the Bishop Municipal Code by title only.
Second that.
Call for a vote.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Bishop, State of California, amending Chapter 3.24 Purchasing System of Title 3 of the City of Revenue and Finance of the City of Bishop Municipal Code relating to purchasing procedures. Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Mahoney,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, then we're moving on to number 3, approve the proposed resolution adopting a purchasing policy by title only to be implemented by staff commencing on the effective date of the ordinance. Do we have any comments on that? Okay, would anyone like to make a motion?
It's all your Jim.
Jose, I'm trying to be good to you. I've made hundreds of motions in my career. Here we go. I'm going to approve the proposed resolution adopting a purchasing policy by title only to be implemented by staff commencing on the effective date of the ordinance.
I'll second.
Right. Great. We have a motion and a second. Call for a vote.
Would you like me to go ahead and read that by title only?
Yes, please.
No. Sorry for the delay.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't find the resolution in my packet. Oh, here it is. Found it. Okay. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Bishop, State of California, adopting purchasing policies to implement a revised purchasing ordinance. Councilmember Kong.
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis.
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Moving on to new business. Fiscal year 2021, 2022 approved budget adjustments. Council consideration to adopt the approved budget adjustments for the 21-22 fiscal year. Finance.
That came up quick. Good evening again, everyone. Annually, the City Council conducts a review of the current fiscal year budget and considers requested amendments on February 14th. These adjustments were reviewed and approved by City Council. So the budget's impacts to the general fund revenue are the 2021 mid-year budget for the general fund has a $325,836 increase in revenues with a $4,321 increase of expenditures. Our total revenues for the city will now be $10,470,075. And total expenditures are $9,465,415. The city will add $1,004,660 to the reserves. Budget impact to the sewer fund. After mid-year budget, the sewer fund will have a total revenue of $1,321,872 and a total expenditures of $2,346,489. A total of $1,024,617 of the fund balance will be used to cover expenses. Budget impacts to the gas tax. After mid-year budget, the gas tax fund will have a total revenue of $173,406 and a total expenditure of $241,148. A total of $67,742 of the fund balance will have to cover expenses. Budget impacts to the water fund. After mid-year budget, the water fund will have a total revenue of $973,900 and a total expenditure of $1,219,905. A total of $246,005 of the fund balance will have to cover expenses. Budget impacts to the Sunrise Fund. After the mid-year budget, the Sunrise Fund will have a total revenue of $136,440 and a total expenditure of $160,252. A total of $23,812 of the fund balance will have to cover expenses. After mid-year budget, the COPS Fund will have a total revenue of $100,253 and a total expenditure of $433,800. A total of $333,547 of the fund balance will have to cover expenses. Council, we recommend council to consider to adopt the approved budget adjustments for the 2021-22 fiscal year as presented.
We had a budget workshop, but are there any comments or questions that anyone has for Jenny? I want to thank you very much for the hard work you put into this. And thank you very much for making it clear and easy to read. Much appreciated.
No problem.
Yeah, Karen, I kind of want to second that. We had a budget workshop earlier and dissected this pretty good. And I think Stephen pulled up some good points too. But for the public out there, the numbers that we do this yearly, I know the numbers that we were adjusted, there was some realignment on some line items and putting some things in order. Some overtime numbers related to COVID more than anything. But I think overall our budget looks pretty healthy and we're seeing us, some good reserves and nothing that jumped out and shocked us and made us wonder. So it was I think it was a good review. And Jenny, thank you. Destin, thank you for putting this all together and keeping us in line.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. Good job, everybody on staff. And yeah, our budget's healthy right now. And so now that we're coming out of COVID and coming out of a lot of the uncertainty and the budget cuts that we were doing at that point, it'd be great to see a lot of these reserves be put back into the community. So I hope we get to do that in the coming months.
Jim?
Thank you, Karen. Can I ask one question, Jenny? We went over budget earlier and I know we had an increase in sales tax of just under $500,000. TOT, where are we going with that? It looks like we're just pretty much on budget.
Yes.
But is that anticipated to move around or you don't know?
I don't know. I think we have a good number for our TOT. I don't think there's any reason to increase it. I mean, we can see how this year finishes up and then look at it for next year and maybe increase it if we're comfortable with that. But I think our TOT is right on point right now.
I mean, we saw Tani's presentation at the last meeting and it wasn't, our occupancy wasn't up to normal levels. And I believe even the rates, as she presented in a previous meeting, were down by on order 5 or 10%. So I think the fact that we're on track with that seems good.
Yeah, that number's moved up quite a few over the years. We're budgeted at what, 2.6 million? And it used to be a $1.8 million number not too many years ago. So it is good to see it.
So
any public comment? Oh, sorry, Stephen.
No. Go for it.
Any public comment?
There are no public comments on our public comment email, and I do not see any raised hands. Jenny, can
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I will make a motion that we adopt the approved budget adjustments for the 2021-2022 fiscal year with the slight modification of an extra line item of $4,000 somewhere in community services.
I'll second that.
Call for a vote.
Councilmember Kong,
Yes.
Councilmember Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Mohovi,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ellis,
Yes.
Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, future agenda items. Does anyone have any future agenda items?
I have one I wanted to bring up. Well, I don't know that it's necessarily a future agenda item, but this prior weekend, there were a bunch of activities going on at the high school and in particular at the field. And for anybody trying to turn from Pine Street onto Home Street, they're kind of taking their lives into their own hands. So I know this has been brought up in the past, and I guess it's maybe fallen through the cracks. So I'd like to know what the process is to look at whether we should get a 4-way stop sign there.
We can do that. For sure. And I'd be happy to explain that process to you.
Awesome.
It's a good time to revisit it because it was deemed not necessary during the Home Street project back in 2006. Through the public meetings and the processes, it was felt that through that process that it wasn't necessary, but things have changed, traffic has increased, so it's time to look at it again.
I do have one more thing. Yes. Over the last 12 months, in one of our meetings, someone mentioned a program that some cities have where cities partner with homeowners in having sidewalks where there is none, where homeowner buys materials, city puts the labor. I talked to Destin about this, and I don't know if we need to have a formal discussion as part of our agenda to discuss that idea.
We can add that on as well. It'd probably just be an enhanced sidewalk safety program that we already currently have. It's just taking it to another level rather than fixing bad sidewalk. It could be incorporating, adding new sidewalk as well. So yes, we can talk about that.
Thank you.
I wanted to comment on when we do come up with a policy on what we want our fund balance to be in relation to our budget. The thought occurred to me tonight when we were in the budget workshop, how when each city administrator comes in or we get a new city administrator, they do things differently with the budget. And it seems to be reinventing the wheel with each city administrator and a finance, and the finance department. And so if there were some things that we could either make it a policy or write it down in our manual that this is how we do things. So someone coming into the budget process, hopefully Jenny's here for the next 30 years, but it's written down and it doesn't have to be sort of made up with each new person. I think that might be really helpful. And especially for also new council members, things are passed on in a very similar fashion from year to year. And if there is a big change, then, we address it in a more formal fashion than just flipping numbers kind of at will.
Point well taken, and will be discussed in strategic planning to get that in there.
Okay. All right, then anything else from anyone? No? Okay, then let's move on to council and committee reports. How about Jose?
Last week we had a quick LTC meeting. I attended a couple of other meetings that I can't think of right now, but I also attended the Chamber of Commerce ribbon cutting for Arrowhead Cycle and the new liquor store in town. That's it.
Okay. Stephen?
It's a pretty light couple of weeks. I didn't actually attend any committee meetings. I did go to the new beverage mart. It's actually nice. So, yeah. It's all, despite the horrific font crime of a sign, the inside actually looks pretty good.
Okay. Jim?
Hey, unmuted. Not a whole lot, Karen. I know I'll leave the SCOG up to you. We did have an SCOG meeting last Friday, I believe. And there was a great presentation. And if you have a chance to speak to, it was Tim Golden from Bishop Climbers Coalition, who did a great presentation on the climbing community. And there were some numbers presented in there that even I didn't know as far as their seasonality and the what they're trying to do as far as the impacts on the land and looking at the long term, what the climbing community brings here and what they need. And it was a great presentation. There's a lot of jurisdictional lines to cross between counties and federals and states. But it was a great presentation, kind of opened my eyes a little bit. So that was good. Then we had the ESTA meeting, and not much there other than they're looking at new bus graphics to kind of give it more regional bus look and bring some color to the buses also, so they don't get hit in the snow. And Mammoth, a white bus driving around in white snow, presents kind of a problem. So they're going to look at that. And then coming up this Friday, I'll be attending Cal Cities, or League of California Cities meeting down in Apple Valley. The league president will be in attendance. She's coming down from Northern California to see our meeting. It'll be a great opportunity to speak for our region and our district. And then probably the biggest part that's coming out of that, there's been a lot of discussion lately within the league about the state kind of taking over local control as far as buildings and our ordinances. And we've seen it a little bit here with some of our, the add-ons and the mom and pop little, my mind has gone blank. Olympics are killing me. The additional dwelling units. So there's been a lot of takeover from the state on that and kind of pushing mandates on locally. So that's going to be a topic of discussion. And I know I've reached out to Elaine, and she's going to give me some information to take down so that our voice is heard, at least within the region and by the president of the league. And other than that, great Super Bowl, and you guys all have a great weekend.
All right. Karen Kong.
I don't know, Jim, if I agree that it was a great Super Bowl, but that's okay. We can argue that point another time. I mean, it wasn't nearly as exciting as all of the playoffs leading up to it. Anyway, yes. So I attended an OVGA meeting this last week. OVGA is continuing to meet monthly, even after the plan has been submitted. It was submitted and has been accepted as far as being submitted, but apparently it can take up to 2 years for the state to actually approve the plan. So that was interesting news from the meeting. In addition, we are looking to probably not until July, but to start the process to change our boundaries with Mono County dropping out, and that will allow both the Hamel Valley folks and Mono County to set up their own groups and monitor their own water. In addition to that, I have a meeting this Friday with Megan from Inyo County to talk a little bit more about Sterling Heights and what maybe a county city collaboration on that project might look like and what we could use it for. So I'm going to do that. That's about it.
Great. With Jim, I attended the SCOG and ESTA meetings. Just to elaborate a little bit more on SCOG, we increased the budget because of an increase in grant revenues. And we also received a proposal on the visitor connection package, which was one of the projects that came out of the SRTI. And with ESTA, we also approved a service contract with Mammoth Lakes. And then I went into the new Bishop Beverage Center as well, and I bought some flour. They have some for the Winter Race Series. I attended that, and we marked the course with some flour. So they have more than just beverages. They have quite a bit of groceries as well, which is really nice because I did miss having Joseph's. So they are taking the place of some grocery needs in downtown. That is it for me. I wish you all a very happy Valentine's Day, and go tell someone you love them. And other than that, we'll see you guys at our next meeting on February 28th at 6 p.m. Good night.
Good night, everyone.